Hi, this is Ellen Broderick. Welcome to the Inspired Living with Ellen Broderick podcast. I haven't seen people in a couple of months. I've been revisioning what I was going to be doing with this podcast, and where I've landed is I'm going to be sharing my love of meditation by sharing with people a variety of experiences of guided meditation each week. So this week, I'm going to focus the meditation on relieving suffering. There's so much suffering in the world right now. I think possibly more than I ever remember at any one point in time. Now, that may not be other people's experience, but it is mine. And then there are also individuals in my life who are suffering in one way or another. So I thought that I would put together a guided meditation that focuses on relieving that suffering, both in the world and in individuals. I'm going to be talking about a few people in this meditation. I just wanted to give you a heads up about who they are. So I will be doing a reading of Saint Francis of Assisi. And most people, I think, do know that he was a monk from Italy. And he was, particularly connected to nature, to animals, and to his experience of the divine. So the piece that I'm going to share with people is the St. Francis, the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. At any time, if something that I share during a meditation, a reading, or anything else does not speak to you and feels contrary to your own beliefs, you can ignore that part or override it with your own uplifting thought or quote. I always welcome people to do that. So another person who I am going to refer to in this is a German forester named Peter Wohlleben, and he was the first person I know of who wrote about the way that trees have the ability to not only communicate to each other, but to nourish the trees that are in distress in one way or another. A pretty amazing underground network that is, it has a component of fungal and fibers from the tree roots that work together to bring the nourishment from one tree to another. And then it's a symbiotic relationship because the fungal matter, which don't see the light of day, get nourished by the tree through the nourishment that the trees take in through the leaves. And so not only does the fungus transport on behalf of the other trees, but it also gets nourished itself along the way. I think that's pretty cool. And then there is a cellular biologist who is named Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he has written about why we as humans are stronger together. And he challenges the concept that Darwin presented and that we've bought into, of survival of the fittest, and competition is a good thing, and it gets the species stronger. And he says that it actually is the reverse that's true, that unity and cooperation is really our true nature, and that's not only true of human beings, it's true of every cell. And I thought that was a pretty cool concept as well. So I'll be using these in the meditation. And then there is I wanted to look up the word radiation. So of course, radiation is one of the means to treat a variety of cancers. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about, the level of reality, which is that that Western medicine, in so many situations, can really save us from disastrous results. And and then I was thinking that there's a way that as human beings, we can communicate a kind of radiation to other people who are not physically close to us. And what the CDC says, I'm going to just read this, is that radiation is an energy that comes from a source and travels through space at a speed of light. And it also refers to the electromagnetic waves that surround us and that it travels through. I just thought that was really cool, and something that when I was thinking about opening this new aspect of the podcast, I was thinking it would be really interesting to combine those concepts that I've just mentioned, and create a kind of healing circle. If anybody has ever been in a healing circle, I was introduced to it through the Quakers. And the healing circle is such that people sit around the outer edge of a circle, all facing inward. And then there is somebody who's in the middle, and you raise your hands and close your eyes. You're sort of brought into a meditation, and you ask to be a channel of healing for that person, and that the hands pointing in the direction of that person is what the you are the conduit, and through your hands then that energy goes out and is directed to whomever is sitting in the middle of the circle. So that's the other concept that I'm going to be bringing into this meditation today. So I hope you're open to a new experience. My hope is to bring these meditations. I won't always give that long of an introduction, but to bring these meditations, these original meditations, guided meditations, to whatever audience of people may be interested in participating. And I hope you enjoy it, but even if you don't, I would love to hear feedback. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? And right now, probably the best place to give me that feedback would be through my email, which is inspiredlivingwithellen@gmail.com. So let's begin. Before we actually start, though, I do want to say that if at any point in time you feel a little vulnerable, or maybe a lot vulnerable, that things get stirred up inside of you, either today or at any of the podcasts that we are doing guided meditations, your ways you might think about grounding yourself and bringing yourself back into what I've heard referred to as the window of tolerance, which really means like where you can feel comfortable. One way to do that would be to open your eyes if your eyes are closed, and reorient yourself. Oh, here is where I am, and this is what's going on. And another way is to bring to mind someone who you trust and feel a good level of comfort with, and then hold their image in mind, or the thought of them in mind. You can also do it with a place where you really relax and feel comfortable. So those are some ways that you can reground yourself. And when you, if you feel grounded again, if you feel within that window of tolerance, then if it feels comfortable, close your eyes again. One other thing you can do is if you're sitting down, you might stand up for a minute, and then sit down again. So I just want to make sure that people, as you go through a meditation, are also feeling a sense of comfort, with within yourself. You don't ever have to move into a place of discomfort, or you never want to move into a place where you're out of integrity with yourself. So we'll begin, and you can do this sitting down. I think probably this one is best sitting down, though if it's not available to you and lying down is a better option, you can certainly do that. You'll visualize yourself sitting and projecting energy from that point of view. If standing is the best for you, that's also fine. All right, so get in whatever position is best for you and come into the present moment. And notice what's on your mind. And allow whatever it is, perhaps worrying about anything that's coming, or regret, or lists of things that are needing to be done. Allow them to know you'll come back to them, but just putting them aside. And notice how you're doing within yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And there's no judgment. You can be doing however you are doing, and it is just as it is. And you might tune yourself inward, noticing the touch of the air on your skin, and you're noticing this from within. And you are also invited to notice whatever sounds are in your environment and coming into your inner ear and translating. And taking in scent, odor from through your nose. Just notice what is the quality of the air. And then coming to your breath and noticing just the natural pattern of breathing right now. As you breathe in, you might say, I breathe in. And as you breathe out, you might also say, I breathe out. In the Buddhist tradition, this is a very powerful way to bring you into the present moment. I breathe in. I breathe out. I breathe in. I breathe out. And then come to your heart. Get a sense of this incredible and powerful muscle and organ. And appreciate for a moment that it gets the energized, oxygenated, nourishing blood out to all the cells in your body. And then what is returned to the heart is deoxygenated. And the heart revitalizes it and sends it out again. And this pattern of over and over and over again being nourished from within by your heart. From birth to death. And a moment of deep appreciation for this vital organ. And I have said that my focus for this meditation today is relieving suffering. And notice if there's any intention that you want to add to your own practice today. So I've spoken about the understanding, the current day understanding that was at least brought to me by Peter Wohlleben about the way that trees communicate with each other, about the relationship of a forest in a shared responsibility to keep the forest in good health. And the way that this is done through trees that are close by to an ailing tree, sending that tree nourishment through this system of underground connections that are aided by the fungal network, and that intermingling with the roots of the trees. So holding a vision of that and thinking about the cellular biologist, Lipton, and his understanding of each cell being interested in the health and well-being of every other cell. The sense being that we are in this together. And with these images in mind, setting up in our own imagination, within our own mind, a vision of a circle. And inside that circle, I want you to think of somebody who you know who is either going through some sort of a physical treatment, medical treatment, or might be suffering in some other way. And I want you to have them sit in the middle of this circle, and it might be yourself. And that is very valid. If you are suffering and or going through any treatment, I would suggest that it be yourself. Have that person or yourself sit in the middle of the circle. And then anybody who's feeling some vitality, sit in the outer circle, facing in toward that person. And if you're in the inner circle or the outer circle, I want you to imagine that your hands are up at about the height of your shoulders, and they are oriented in toward the middle if you're in the outer circle, and toward the outer circle if you're in the middle. And from here, I'd like you to think if there are maybe a couple more people that you can think of who might like to join whomever is sitting in the middle. And when you feel like these are the people that I know of who are suffering, or the main people I know of who are suffering, then we'll begin. I'll give another moment for people to bring whomever to mind and place them in the center of the circle. And then I want you to think about who in your life, or who do you know, either directly or not directly. It could be through reading or through exposure in some other way. But who do you know that you consider to be a powerful healer? And invite them to sit in the outer circle with those of us that are sitting there. And if you're in the outer circle, I'm going to have you imagine that you are a channel of grace and healing that is being used as a conduit from the source, that which is greater than us, and going toward those who are suffering in the middle of the circle. So invite as many people as you wish, and also hold in mind that this outer circle is also growing larger by the fact that there are many other people viewing this, listening to this meditation, who are also inviting many souls to participate. And we'll begin with the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. And I will repeat it once through, and then I'll pause, and then I'll repeat it a second time. And especially the outer circle, thinking of yourself as an instrument of peace. O Holy One, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. O Divine One, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in loving that we are loved. And it is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life. O Holy One, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine One, grant that I shall not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in loving that we are loved. It is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life. Holding the image of yourself as an instrument of peace and love and healing, allowing the source to travel through time and space and through us being projected out our hands for those in the inner circle who have been and are suffering. And holding that image, allowing it to be a fluid image of nourishment and healing to run through you over the next several minutes. And then pausing for a moment. And those who are in one place or another, if you would like to stay in the same place for a second round of this energy, please do. If you want to switch places, if you're in the outer circle and you want to move into the inner circle for a round of radiation, or if you're in the inner circle and you want to move toward the outer to the outer circle to feel that experience, I welcome that as well. But if you're in one or the other place and it feels right to stay there longer, please do. And then again, noticing wherever you're situated, raising in your mind's eye your hands up to shoulder height, allowing for receiving on the inner circle and for conveying to the inner circle if you're in the outer circle. You are an instrument of peace and health and well-being. And if you're in the inner circle, fully feeling the love and nourishment that has been directed your way. And if you're in the outer circle, fully feeling the wonderful, powerful experience of being a conduit of energy, of health and well-being, and of love. And coming back to your breath and noticing the breath. Listening to the sounds around you. And noticing any odors in the air as we're beginning to fully come back into our relationship with our own senses. Noticing perhaps also whatever taste lingers in your mouth. And with eyes still closed or soft gaze down, noticing the internal experience of the eyes. And then when you're ready, fluttering the eyes open, hopefully initially looking at something distant, perhaps something alive like a plant, or looking out the window at a tree. And taking a sense of how you're doing now in body, mind, and spirit. Well, thank you for joining me. And I will, as I say, bring these original meditations to you on a weekly basis now. I also invite you to check out my Inspired Living website, and to find it, you would go to inspired-living.net. And check out, I have classes that I am offering. There's a spring series, and if anything is of interest to you, I invite you to sign up. Otherwise, you'll just get a sense of what my vision is of my work in the world right now. And this is the Inspired Living Podcast with Ellen Broderick. Thank you for joining me.